Welcome your host, Caddy Frink, as she leads discussions about substance use disorder and the journey to recovery. You're listening to Redefining Recovery, a recovery revolution.
Gotta get those couple of beats in there before I start talking because it just kind of keeps you jamming in your seat. Welcome. My name is Caddy Frink. I am the host of Redefining Recovery, a recovery revolution, and we are on part 2 of an amazing conversation with Josie and Rachel here. Hello. Say hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hello.
Right. Nice to see you. So we are technically still in 2024. But we're talking to you in 2025 when this show gets out there. So I'm going to ask the question once I thank our funders. Special thanks to generous funders, including the Patrick and Amy Butler Foundation, the Otto Bremer Trust, the Sauer Family Foundation, and the Hardenborough, I'm going to probably massacre that every time, Foundation, alongside other funding sources, corporate individuals, volunteers. Is it possible we can have all those great things come to Minnesota Recovery Connection? So we'll say that we're in the first of the year, ladies. So maybe I'm going to twist this around a little bit. Miss Rachel, yes. What is your hope, or what's your thought of what's right for the next year in 2025?
For myself?
Yeah, for you. It's all about you.
I just want to just keep thriving like I have been. That's my goal.
So add a couple words to thriving. What does thriving mean to you?
Just figuring out where I'm going with this this path in my recovery and my career.
Nice.
And just being successful.
Okay. I love it.
Yes. Josie.
Yes, Rachel.
What does, Josie, I will help feed the machine here. Please. What does maybe 2025 look like for you? Small, big, whatever kind of thoughts around what's going to be right in 2025 for you?
Yeah, 2025 is going to be a huge year. I'm talking about I'm going back to school in January.
Sweet.
Yes. And then I'm getting married.
When is that taking place?
So we were originally supposed to get married in March, but it looks like we might have to push that back a little bit.
Okay.
So we don't have a set date yet.
Okay.
But,
so
yeah,
2025 is the year?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, because we have our honeymoon planned already for 2025.
Oh, well, let's get the important stuff set to go.
Yes, we are going on a Caribbean island cruise. We already got our tickets and all that stuff.
When is that?
That is at the end of March.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So a pre-wedding ceremony for your honeymoon to just set the stage.
Yes, we're just going with the flow because
Nice.
our plans got a little, switched up, but that's okay. We're still just so grateful. So,
Nice.
Yeah.
Loving that.
Yes.
And Caddy. You made me laugh so hard.
So,
what's your plans for 2025?
Thank you, Rachel. See, this is where we're trying to have a conversation. What's my thought for 2025? I asked you the question. I didn't even come up with my own thoughts around that. What I want to do is I want to continue to have these incredible conversations. I have been given the absolute honor and pleasure of being a host of this show. But most importantly, I love the fact that we get to sit down and talk about all this stuff to a larger audience. So my hope of 2025 is that we reach more people, whatever that looks like. I don't even know what that looks like. I'm just dreaming right now, just dreaming. Because the more people we have good conversations with is possibly the more lives that we save. And we know we're on a downturn for fentanyl use. We know we're on a downturn for overdoses. But we're not on a downturn for people that are struggling in their communities. Because that's everywhere. Would you agree, ladies?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Rachel was telling me a story this morning about an unfortunate situation that happened. And it's because there are individuals that are living without homes around her place. And we have a lot of things that we can't necessarily fix, but we can actually give voice to. And I think that's what's really important. So I want to give voice to recovery, and that's literally why I'm sitting here with two lovely ladies. and my deep voice. That sounds a little scary when I really go deep. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about in this next hours, we're going to talk about the journey that these two have been on with Minnesota Recovery Connection. And what I'll do is I'll set the stage. We have been working with AMPACT, otherwise known as AmeriCorps. They've kind of transitioned in some of how they identify themselves, and some people are scratching their head going, what are you talking about?
Well, they're also Recovery Corps as well.
Well, that's the program that you work for. Yes, darling. Thank you.
Very confusing.
I know. Well, and that's the thing. So when we talk about AmeriCorps, AMPACT, we talk about if anybody's ever been part of the program in schools of Reading Corps or Math Corps. The Peace Corps is not necessarily part of them, but that helps people wrap their brain around what it is. It's a service year that people do with this organization. Habitat for Humanity does fall under the umbrella of AmeriCorps, and most people are familiar with that. Well, the most interesting thing happened 4 or 5 years ago was Minnesota Recovery Connection was partnered with then AmeriCorps to start Recovery Corps. So Minnesota Recovery Connection, the longest-standing recovery community organization, was asked to be brought into this new space where can people who have a lived experience with recovery come in and work in the community in organizations to help people who are looking for recovery. Man, that's a lot of words in recovery. But what it is that Justin McNeil was one of our first Recovery Corps members. He now is the executive director of Begin Anew, which is a recovery community organization located in Blaine, I think. And there are other members that have come through the doors. I remember their names, and they have not necessarily stayed in the recovery community, but I feel so, it's like in hindsight now, I feel so proud to be where Recovery Corps was birthed. And, you know, when we think about how we can help people, we just talk to them, right? Mm-hmm. That's what you do kind of all day long, right?
Yeah.
And that's the essence of peer recovery services. And so what happened was that this large federally funded organization said, hey, people in recovery, they count too. We're not just telling them how to do math. We're not just telling them how to do reading skills. We need to help them move along on this journey of recovery. So let's start this amazing program. So I kind of just get tall in my seat when I say that. And Rachel gave me the, oh my gosh, Caddy. He's just going to tote. But with Minnesota Recovery Connection being where we are in the standing of the recovery community, it really is a really important thing because now Recovery Corps is in how many states, ladies?
I believe 3.
3.
Yep.
Which are the states?
Virginia,
and Illinois.
Illinois, and Minnesota. Yep.
Yeah. So we got 3 states strong. That just happened in the last, I think, 2-ish years where they expanded. There's a woman named Katie who is absolutely instrumental in doing that. And so I tip my hat to her in doing that. She's no longer with the organization, but without her help, it might not have gotten to the place that it is because addiction is everywhere, isn't it, ladies?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And if we can expand the opportunities for people who have come into their recovery and give them a work opportunity, which is what you two are going to talk about next, about saying, hey, I don't have to be scared about my past. I get to use my past. And the lived experience that you have is so valuable. And that's the thing that it took me a couple of years to figure out what Minnesota Recovery Connection did, I will say. But then when I started seeing individuals like yourself come in and I had this opportunity to do training, I'm like, darn tootin', this is a good thing. This is what saving lives is about, or at least impacting. Because sometimes we can't save them, but we can at least meet them somewhere where they're at. Yeah. So when we come back from break, I'll actually let somebody else talk. But I'm going to have Josie and Rachel talk about their experience with Minnesota Recovery Connection and AmeriCorps in the Recovery Corps program and like how'd they come to Minnesota Recovery Connection. So we will be back. Thank you for listening to Redefining Recovery, Recovery Revolution here on AM 950.
We've all seen the man at the liquor store begging for your change.
scaredest one, and now you're taking. Well, welcome back, humans. Can't wait to have you listen to these lovely ladies, Josie Olson and Rachel Lien, like lean in. That's what she told me earlier. My name is Caddy Frink. I am the host of Redefining Recovery, Recovery Revolution. I got to keep them laughing because they're still so nervous. So we're here and we're talking about the opportunity that Rachel and Josie have had through Recovery Corps, which is a arm, I call it, off of AmeriCorps and AMPACT. So, Rachel, how did you make your way to Minnesota Recovery Connection?
So when I was in treatment, there was a staff that worked there by the name of Molly. She was one of those people, like there was a few key people that I met when I was in treatment that was like, I knew that was one of my safe people.
Yes.
That I knew I could count on for advice to help support me with whatever barrier or situation I was encountering.
Was she acting as a peer recovery specialist there, or
No,
what was she doing there?
She is a tech there. So
okay.
It's like every other weekend. She worked in the outpatient program, so like in our living setting, basically.
Okay.
Yep.
I wasn't sure what position she was holding there. So
not
she was
a
a
PRS
tech.
there. Yep.
Okay.
So I always kept in contact with Molly when I left, but like we were talking about on the other episode about when I got out of treatment, I kind of really struggled with what am I going to do now? Mm-hmm. You know, I have a criminal record. I really don't, I don't know what I had been in contact with Molly. She told me about Recovery Corps. So
a little history. I'm going to toss this in. So Molly was actually one of our members at Minnesota Recovery Connection as a Recovery Corps participant. What are you guys? Navigators.
She was a navigator.
She was a navigator. I was trying to think like employee, but she's, it's this sort of weird world where they work. So just to clarify, so someone works at Minnesota Recovery Connection, but is employed through AmeriCorps. And so that's the fun part about this is that we had Molly that was working for and at Minnesota Recovery Connection, I think in tandem, after she I can't remember. She was working as a tech there. She had already worked at Minnesota Recovery Connection.
Yeah.
And then she was working at AmeriCorps. So this is where everything is one big soup, everybody,
right.
in the work that we do. So I just want to say that since she worked at Minnesota Recovery Connection, I think when you had like this I Spy, what do I do next, Molly? That's where that kind of came in.
Yep. So I got in contact with Molly like, hey, I need to do something. And so she told me about Recovery Corps. So she had me apply, but obviously I had a relationship with Molly, so Molly couldn't do any of my interviewing. I had to go and get it all by myself.
You had to put on your big girl pants?
Yeah, I did. Like Molly just couldn't hand it to me. So
Right.
I had to go and interview. I had to go and do all the background check type stuff. And then it comes to the point where we decide where you're going to be placed. I originally was going to be placed at the Dorothy Day Center, but over there they require you to pass a DHS background check. And I didn't pass that due to my criminal record that I had from my previous life.
Yes.
So the opportunity came about to come over to Minnesota Recovery Connection, and you guys didn't require me to pass a DHS background check.
No, we don't. We don't. Because,
so it's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's super awesome. So it sounds like you were in treatment. You had this really great relationship with Molly.
Yep.
Molly had been in the position as a navigator through Recovery Corps.
Yep.
And then you're like, okay, now Molly, I got to put on my good big girl pants. What am I supposed to do now? And what did she describe the recovery, the navigating, the recovery coach, all the above position described to you?
So I was kind of like, am I going to be able to do that? So when I was in my treatment place, I was a house mom. So like I really had that leadership role over there. So she was like, you can totally do that. She's like, you're basically going to be supporting people. Like that's what you do. Mm-hmm. You're going to be having a caseload, figuring out resources, just working with a vast, array of different participants, because everybody that I work with, everybody's different.
Yeah.
Everybody's journey is different. So, yeah, I was kind of nervous. I get nervous about a lot of things.
But she just makes it through, folks. She just makes it through.
You know what I tell myself, though? If I'm not uncomfortable, then I'm never going to grow.
Yeah,
So, like,
no.
even doing this. Like,
Discomfort is a learning
Yes.
space usually. And
Yep.
sometimes we got to, like, hunker down and figure
do
it out.
it. Yeah.
Okay. So now you've come on as a navigator at Minnesota Recovery Connection. You're working full-time for us, which is essentially, let's call it 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And you have been working with what kind of folks? Like, what does that look like?
So, you know, some of my participants are in active use. Some of my participants are currently incarcerated.
Okay.
Some of them are in recovery. Some of them have CPS cases. Some of them are just, you know, want me to call them and check in with them once a week. It really looks different for everybody because recovery, like I said, looks different for everybody.
Yep.
So it's just helping them figure out what it looks like for them and then just walking alongside them.
Nice. And I think the interesting thing about doing this work through Recovery Corps and being, it's called a navigator, where we call it a recovery coach or a peer recovery specialist. There's kind of like all these great names around it. But as you said, it's about walking alongside with somebody. I know, and Josie's going to tell her sort of side of this, but you just pick up the phone and you really don't know what you're going to get, right? It's like a box of chocolates.
Yeah, you just never know.
Yeah. And is it challenging sometimes, Rachel?
It is, but it's also really gratifying to like see something like all the way through. So like my first participant, when I first started working with her, she was in active use. Now we're to the point now where she's not using anymore.
Wow.
She has her own place. But seeing somebody all the way through that process is just...
That's wonderful. How long has that time frame been then?
I started working with her at the beginning of August, so till now.
Wow. So August, September, October, November, December. So within 5 months, she went from somebody who probably didn't know what the next day looked like to having her own space.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
That's what can happen, and this is why I am sitting here across from these two humans. This is the difference that somebody can make in someone's life if you just give them the space, right?
Yeah.
Give them the space to say, what is your recovery, or what does life look like? Yeah, and putting on those big girl pants or those big boy pants or those big them pants, that's not easy.
Or, hey, you know, you can come in here and talk to me. I don't care if you're still getting high. Like, I'm not going to judge you.
Right.
So you can come in, we can sit down, and we can talk and figure out, you know, what do you need help with? How can I support you? I'm not here to make you go to treatment. We're not a clinical setting.
Right.
So we're just a place to have a talk.
And we're available. And the beauty, folks, is that I've said it a million times, and I'll say it a million times more, is when we share our lived experience with someone, it's like, I know what it's like when you're still using, but you're, as you said earlier in our previous show, I don't want to do this anymore, but I don't know exactly what to do. And that's why this navigating position, peer recovery specialists, are something that can come in and say, I get it. That's a scary place to be. What's next?
Yeah.
Wow. Josie.
Yes.
How did you come to Minnesota Recovery Connection and to Recovery Corps?
So when I first got into recovery in 2021, I think it was, you know, one of my pathways not only was my daughter, but going back to school. So, you know, I hadn't gone to school. I graduated high school 10 years ago, and so it's been a while since I was in school. And I was like, well, I'm just going to try it out, you know. And so
it should be easy peasy,
yeah,
right?
you know, I graduated from an ALC. Like, this should be fine.
Yeah.
So I got signed up at a college, and I was going to do a human services degree, get my associate degree. And so upon graduating, I needed to do an internship credit. Yes.
Where did you do your internship?
So, a lot of places that I checked out first, they required me to pass a background check, which I wasn't able to do. Mm-hmm. And so I was getting really scared because I'm like, okay, this is the only thing that's holding me back from graduating, and like I can't find anywhere. And upon just some Googling and stuff, I found Minnesota.
The Google?
Yeah.
The Google.
I found Minnesota Recovery Connection, and I was like, all right, well, I didn't want to do anything in recovery, to be honest.
Really? Why?
Yeah, because I feel like when I first got into recovery, like I was still hiding in that shame.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it owns our soul for quite a while.
It does, yes, and it did. But I was like, well, I got to get this done, so let's just check it out, So I emailed Sarah, and she was like, yeah, come in and talk to me. And so I went in, and she's like, yeah, you can do your internship here. And I was like, all right, whatever.
Sure, no problem.
Yeah. So it was the community engagement intern.
Yes, you were.
Yes. So that was, I did that for 5 months or so. And upon being at Minnesota Recovery Connection, like I just absolutely fell in love with the place. I fell in love with all the people there. Everybody was just super cool and welcoming. And
we're so neato, aren't we?
Yeah, and I just loved how you guys all just wore your recovery on your sleeve, because that was something that I hid from and that I was ashamed to do. It was a huge part of my identity, my substance use disorder, but I just didn't embrace it. I just kind of put it on the back shelf, and
it was there. I licked it. I don't.
Yes.
I overcame it. Now,
Yes.
now I can just move on.
Yep, exactly.
Right. Okay.
And so I, upon being there, I heard about this AmeriCorps Recovery Corps program, and I was like, what is that? Like, that's interesting. And I still didn't know what I was going to do once I graduated. I had no idea, and heard about this program, and I was like, well, let's give it a shot. I don't know. I mean, like, I need
got nothing to lose.
Yeah, like I need to start working because I'm done with school. Like it's it's just there. So let's try it out.
Yeah.
And so I applied, had my interview, and I didn't know how I really felt about working with people. I knew I wanted to do something with people, just not necessarily in recovery. And so I was like, well, all right, let's just try it out. And
I've been an intern.
Yeah.
I went to school. I want to help people.
Yeah,
now what?
Yeah. And just some of the benefits of the program I really enjoyed. I really liked. So yeah. And the MRC staff who have either worked as a recovery navigator through Recovery Corps said nothing but good things about it. So that kind of pushed me to want to do it. And so, yeah, I started as a recovery navigator in late July, at the end of July, and just fell in love with the position just because, there's so many opportunities to grow and gain more confidence and more skills. And
tell me more about that growth. There's more opportunity to grow. What does that mean?
Yeah, so I just remember, I struggle with anxiety and stuff, and I just feel like ever since starting as a recovery navigator, like I've had to be pushed out of my comfort zone, like completely. Even like picking up the phone and calling people, like that was really scary.
Yeah.
And so that alone, just being pushed to do things out of my comfort zone, has just made my confidence grow completely. And, all these opportunities to learn new skills, whether that be, working with people and just trying to draw out conversation, like that's a skill to have. And
totally, that motivational interview you dropped in the previous episode. I'm like, you go, girl.
Well, I've learned so much from you, Caddy. I mean, you're just so inspiring. Like, I want to be you. And
right now
I want to be Caddy when I grow up.
I do.
For sure.
I do.
The world is your oyster.
Yeah, you're just so amazing, Caddy. Just being surrounded by, people in recovery has really made me want to embrace my recovery. So much to the point that, I'm going back to school January 13th to get my LADC. So yeah, like I
Look,
just...
if you all could see my eyebrows just went, whoa, you go, friend.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, so let's talk a couple of details about the AmeriCorps program, because if anybody, wow, my voice is really taking a tip on this one. The interesting thing about the AmeriCorps program, you kind of has, what does it look like when you're actually employed by it, whoever wants to talk? So you sign up, You go through the interview process, you get positioned at a location, and then you get paid, but you also have extensive trainings and you get benefits from it. What does that look like? To audience about a service year, because people think a job, but this is a service year that you sign up for. So what does that look like?
So we sign up, you sign up for a year, either part-time or full-time. So me and Josie are at 40 hours a week. I think part-time's like 20, I think.
Yeah.
But you get a living stipend every 2 weeks. So it's almost like a salary. So basically in our pay period, as long as we work like 2 hours, we get that no matter what. But on top of that, it's not counted as earned income to like our state.
Okay.
So like for myself, I'm able to get all of my county benefits still.
Okay.
So really for the first time in probably 10 years, I'm like financially stable.
Wow. What a good feeling, I imagine.
It is.
Yeah.
So on top of all that, we were able to take the RCA training because
The Recovery Coach Academy at Minnesota Recovery Connection.
So they paid for us to do that.
Yep.
At the end of our term, they will also pay for us to test out to the state so we can be certified.
So the state of Minnesota AmeriCorps will pay for the board.
Yep.
To can be a certified peer recovery specialist.
Yep. And then on top of that, just all of the training that we've gone through. I mean, I've taken motivational interviewing at least 7 times.
Right. Yeah.
Wouldn't want to.
No lie.
Can't get too much.
Yeah.
And also, at the end of our turn, if we complete, because we have to complete like a certain amount of hours.
Right.
So if we complete those hours, then we get a educational grant. So like you get money towards student loan debt or towards tuition. So
Can I ask what the amount is? I don't remember.
I believe it's like $7,000.
Yeah, for full time.
That is sweet.
Yeah.
$7,000. So
Yeah.
you think about it, you get paid. And then you can keep all the benefits you have if you're getting your feet back on the ground and you're utilizing some of the services that are available in the state of Minnesota, which is awesome. Yep. And then to continue this incredible growth, you have the opportunity to go to college, or you can pass that on to student debt to somebody else.
You can pay your student loan debt, or if you're over a certain age, you can give it to like one of your grandchildren
to pay off student loan debt,
Yeah.
which is an amazing opportunity. I mean, it's really talk about paying it forward potentially.
Yeah.
If you're at a certain point in your life where education isn't part of your future,
Right.
to be able to benefit another individual for helping the community.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's just really important. It was really, really important for me because when I got out of treatment, like I said, who am I? I was figuring out who I was.
Right.
But now it's the what now. What do I do now? So this opportunity has really just been so amazing for me. Not only am I getting professional skills, like I haven't had a real job in 10 plus years. So, and with my criminal record. So now while I'm doing this, I'm able to start navigating, like fixing my background check.
Right.
So at the end of this, I can possibly, network, have other opportunities in front of me and grow and move on. And also seeing so many people that started out with the Recovery Corps AmeriCorps program and seeing where they are now and going, oh, you were just in my position 2 years ago. Now you're the program coach.
Yeah.
Now you're an executive director of a treatment place. Like, I can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's an amazing opportunity for people who aren't sure what next looks like to step in. You gotta commit though. I mean, it's a commitment.
Yeah.
And sometimes that commitment can be really scary. We've had people not succeed in the AmeriCorps program, and that's okay. Recovery Corps working 40 hours a week for someone who hasn't done it, it's like putting on a whole new world. But all we ask is trying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just trying to do that. If you're scared, that's okay. If you're unsure, that's okay. If you're not sure you can make it, actually, that's okay too. But it's about learning the skills that both of you talked about, and that is communication, being supported. How do I ask for help? Mm-hmm. Right? I've had both of you on occasion come to me and say, "Hey, Caddy, I got a thing. I got a something
going on."
Yeah, and it's like it's not that I have all the answers, but just taking the leap to drowning in our addiction. The last thing in that shame place or in that fear place was to say, "I need help."
Right.
And now both of you have learned to say, "Hey, I need some help, or I need some guidance, or I got a situation." And I think one of the things that I take away from all the Recovery Corps members that we've had is that I see these beautiful people blossom. And sometimes it's taken a second year to see the bloom come in. But that's the nice thing about AmeriCorps and Recovery Corps is that you can do this for a couple of years, correct?
Yeah,
And
up
do
to four
Four terms.
Yep.
And I think the educational stipend only is applicable for the first 2 years. Is that correct?
I'm not
There's
sure.
There's some limitation on that
Okay.
one, but that's okay. But it gives somebody an opportunity to actually, you don't have to stay at Minnesota Recovery Connection. But why would you go anyplace
Right.
else?
Why would I go anywhere else?
Why? But here you are with a program. You've got established relationships in the community. You can go work for another organization under the Recovery Corps umbrella
Yep.
and get more knowledge about working with other groups of individuals, because a lot of different organizations. Can you name off some of the organizations that have navigators? Just off
I
the
know
top of
they're
your
at
head?
Teen Challenge. I know they're at Wayside.
Frogtown Recovery Cafe.
Yep. Big shout out to them. They're at the Dorothy Day Center, Catholic Charities. They're
Twin
everywhere.
Cities Recovery Project.
Yep. They're everywhere.
Right.
Like,
and
everywhere.
let me tell you, 2 years ago, that wasn't the deal.
Okay.
It was very, very small. And this is how much this program has grown, as well as grown state to different states. And so I really want you both to go, man, I'm part of something that is changing the world.
Yeah.
And I mean that in a literal sense, because we all know it's not just the one person that we're helping. There's a family, there's a partner, there's a community that we have an impact on when we help that one person. Boy, if my finger couldn't be any more in the air like a teacher. I feel, you all know how I'm passionate as a goober head, but we know how much we can affect one group. One person can affect so many more. And that's where the magic is, and that's where the magic of this Recovery Corps program, because once you see your recovery and your potential, it like flourishes. Give me a couple of stories. Rachel, you gave a story about your person who in the last few months has gone from a person who is still using substances. Give me a story that you have, Josie, about someone who you've worked with and whatever direction they've gone.
Yeah, so one of the first people that comes to mind is, she comes in every week for an hour, and we just talk, and I let her talk, and I've been working with her since the beginning of my term in July, and so she's just been super consistent and super awesome. And one thing that she said to me last week really stuck with me, and she's like, I can't remember exactly what she said, but she just said, thanks for the opportunity for me to do so much deep self-reflection.
Ooh.
And I've loved that so much, because I let her do her thing when we meet, and I can just see her wheels turning when she goes like deeper and deeper into her thoughts and just starts to dissect them, and just asking those questions that help her dissect them.
Wow.
So that just really stuck with me.
Wow.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Is she living a life in recovery?
She is, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
She's just about to get like her 6-month coin.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's just very beautiful. Yeah.
So watching someone sort of peel away those onion shells and just sort of say, who am I inside? Like you asked yourself, Rachel, who am I? What does that woman look like? When we live in this space where people are struggling, we forget that it's so cliche. The struggle is real. We live in this, if somebody has got substance use disorder and they're living in this world where they don't know where to go next, being able to begin to peel away the onion, find out who they are, have somebody go from living in a situation which was probably unpredictable to having their own home. And I'm sure there's a mountain of other stories. What I'd like to come back from after the next break is we've had a real impact in the justice-involved community as well. And this is something that Minnesota Recovery Connection has really stepped into for a grant opportunity that we have, as well as a lot of other partnerships that we have with certain organizations around the state that deal with those who struggle with incarceration and recovery. So when we come back, we are going to discuss just a little bit more about how you've impacted the communities at large. So thank you for listening to Minnesota Recovery Connection's Redefining Recovery, a Recovery Revolution. I'm your host, Caddy Frink. Thank you.
Because without it, there's no home. And there's one thing that I've learned through this year of being alone.
singing, which is really a bad idea. I just cracked up these two lovely humans in here. Ba-da-ba. Man, I'm coming in with a deep voice, though, that's for sure. Welcome to Redefining Recovery, Recovery Revolution. I have had a spectacular time talking to two incredible women, Rachel and Josie, about their journey through their recovery in this two-part series, as well as now the work that they do at Minnesota Recovery Connection. So we kind of left at the people that you're helping, the skills that you learn, the growth that you've had. Josie, I want you to add that little story about Colorado, Wyoming. Where was that made your journey? She talked about a little something that really helped her move into the next level of your recovery. Share that little story, please.
Yeah. So when I got out of inpatient treatment, so through my methamphetamine addiction, like I didn't talk to my dad who lives in Colorado. He moved there, oh gosh, I don't know, almost 10 years ago maybe. And just because of that shame, that I was dealing with, I didn't want to talk to him.
You wanted to hide.
Yeah. And so when I was in inpatient treatment, I called him and just kind of wanted to start building that relationship back because we've always been super close.
Good on you.
Yeah, and he's always just been that person that doesn't judge and is there for me. And so, I made that call and I started crying and I was really excited. And when I was back home after my treatment, he just showed up at my house.
Wow.
So he drove to Minnesota. It wasn't specifically for me. His dad did pass away, but,
right on the coattails of whatever is there.
Just take it.
Yeah, just take it. Yeah. He came to see you.
Yes, he did. And it was just so beautiful. And so he was there for like a week. And, during his stay, he was like, hey, what do you think about driving back to Colorado with me and kind of staying with me for, a little bit? And I was like, okay, let's do that. Heck yeah. And so at this point in my recovery, I was a little past 30 days. And
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Newbie.
New. And still friends with those people on Facebook, still had those people hitting me up. So, I truly feel like in my heart, like going to Colorado, I went to Colorado for a month with him.
Wow.
And so I truly feel like that saved me because I had that month. I didn't have a phone when I was there.
Sweet.
Yeah. And so I just really did a lot of journaling, a lot of reading, a lot of connecting to my spirituality. And it was just such a beautiful experience. And I really feel like I needed that to prolong my recovery. Because, when you're so new, you still have those thoughts and all those triggers. And I feel like just being in my town would have been really hard.
Yep.
So, yeah, I'm just very grateful for that experience, and I'll forever hold that in my heart,
Wow.
Yeah.
Transformational, it sounds like.
Yeah, it was for sure.
Truly transformational.
Yeah.
I think the other side of that I want to pick up on is what is important for people to know is that even when we are finding our recovery, or we found our recovery or found our sobriety, we are scared of relationships with people because we know that we've either been harmful, destructive, self-destructive, and you were hiding from your dad, if I got that correctly, because of your shame.
Yeah.
He still loved you.
Oh, yeah.
But you couldn't kind of face it. Would that be face it with him?
Yeah, and he, he didn't try to force anything. He just kind of let me go and do my thing. And, just knowing that he was always there, and whenever I wanted to come back and, talk to him. So, yeah, I really liked how he let me go and learn, too, you know, without being that hovering,
helicopter dad.
Yeah. And almost like how my mom was enabling to, I know the circumstances were different because he was in a completely different state and I was living with my mom, so it is different. But yeah, he gave you space. Yeah, he did. And I truly feel like that I feel grateful for my substance use disorder as it has helped build who I am and where I am today. Because, I mean, without it, like, I wouldn't be sitting right here doing this, right?
Right.
So,
being a radio star.
yeah, you know, so...
I think that's interesting because I think there's a lot of us that would say, to a certain degree, we're grateful for our substance use disorder because of who we have become or who we are becoming. Yeah. I mean, even me, I'm still becoming a little bit more of who Caddy is supposed to be. And so I just think it's so important for the people who are listening that if their person that they love very much is struggling either in their recovery or struggling still with their substance and they stay away, it's not because we don't love them. It's because we're just scared and we're shameful and we don't want to. I know I stayed away from a lot of people for a period of time because I didn't want them like looking at me because they would see my soul, and my soul was so broken sometimes. And I felt bad for what I did or I didn't do or didn't know how to do. Yeah. So I think that's an important message for people to hear, that Dad hung out in the background and then gave you space and then gave you an exceedingly amazing opportunity to just heal a little bit more with him there. Yeah. Wow. Rachel, what do you got to add?
Shame and guilt is real. It's powerful.
Is. Yeah.
It's a powerful emotion.
Yeah. It will hold us back.
Yes.
So just quickly, I just want to say that, you know, I've talked about on other shows about our Strong Justice Involved program that we have at Minnesota Recovery Connection. But both of you have mentioned the fact that you have justice involved backgrounds. I myself have a justice involved background, and we can overcome it. But what it takes is what both of you have had an opportunity to step into and then hand off. But give a couple of scenarios. You take what kind of phone calls and give what kind of advice on occasion to folks. So, Rachel, you go first.
So, really, the really cool part about Minnesota Recovery Connection, well, one of the cool things,
one
is
of the
that
many.
If you are incarcerated in Ramsey County Jail, you can actually make free phone calls to the Minnesota Recovery Connection to kind of start getting access to whatever support that you need.
Right.
Because a lot of times when you're in there, you can't call anybody else, so you have nobody else advocating for you.
Right.
So they're able to make phone calls to us, and we can kind of figure out what their situation is, figure out how we can better support them. A lot of times it's getting like an assessment done while they're in jail. An
assessment for their substance use disorder, which is part of the next phase generally for them to get into treatment, inpatient, outpatient, something like that.
So getting that completed, and then getting those results to us, and then being able to fax them over to treatment centers or advocating to their public defenders or the judges to kind of say, hey, like, we've been working with this person for a while. This is, you know, things really need to be, what is it, person-centered. Is that what it is?
Yep, person-centered.
Yeah, so so-and-so committed a crime. Okay, I get that. I've committed crimes, but let's get to the root of that.
Yep.
So would they have committed a crime if they weren't on substances?
Probably not.
So if we can't ever fix that, then we're never going to...
Right. The person is just going to sort of be held in jail, literally their own personal jail, because they can't see where the problem is. Right.
Yeah. So getting that person those options and supporting them and trying to help them get into a treatment is really the root of what we're trying to do over there.
Yeah. Anything you want to add to that?
I think Rachel pretty much nailed it.
Yeah,
I mean,
nailed it.
Yeah, she did, 100%. Yeah.
Well, and I think what I've seen from both of you is that it is, sometimes it can be a lot of work because you have these limited times and you got to try to bust out a few things. We've sort of re-navigated things that you can sometimes take those phone calls, but then we get to pass them on to another peer recovery specialist that can take it to the next level. Mm-hmm. But what I've heard you say specifically, Rachel, is that it's helped you grow. Because it's giving you, like, you have to think next level.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just really understand a lot more. So I want to be continuing this on with my career. So just figuring out how all of that kind of stuff works has just really been gratifying.
Yeah, just kind of blends together. Well, Josie and Rachel, this has been amazing. A 2-part series on your stories and how you're working with AmeriCorps and Recovery Corps. Thank you. Say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Redefining Recovery, a Recovery Revolution. Have a great day.